Good morning, everyone. What a big show we have today. I was tempted to refer to today's show as It's All Crazy Town. Yes. Now I know I am saying that Elon calls the shots, but because of that, it is all absolutely crazy town. And I want to thank you guys for sticking with me and to absolutely, this is the time to remind you. It's time to smash that subscribe button. I am on a goal to get 10,000 subscribers. So thank you for that. Now, the format of our show is, as always, going to be our countdown. So let's go. Our top, starting with 10, counting down, is that we now have in Mar-a-Lago not just what Donald Trump used to call the winter White House. You know, it's not winter, it's fall. He's the president-elect. He is not the president. But we have essentially a shadow president hanging out at Mar-a-Lago. And that person is Elon Musk. This is the photo from the thumbnail, and it does appear that Elon is calling the shots. People are standing around. You can see Elon about to speak. He is holding forth. He has the floor. He's talking and thinking. And we don't know. There's a gentleman kind of with the back of his head facing us. His hair kind of salt and pepper gray, slicked back. You see that, right? There's that like slick back head, has the feel, and I'm not saying it actually is, of a mob boss. And then, of course, let's look again up close. There's Donald Trump kind of listening to what Elon has to say. Look at his posture. Donald's shoulders are slumped. You can sort of see he's listening. His mouth is closed. His eyes are alert as Donald's eyes can get. And everyone is standing around. And everyone, except for this woman in the left top corner over here, everyone is kind of looking over at what's going on, and they are looking at Elon Musk speak. Now, what does that mean? Well, friends, what that means is everybody is trying to control Donald Trump, especially Elon Musk right now. And he is invested in Donald Trump, just like he invests in other companies. And whether he drives them into the ground doesn't really matter. You can look at his record at companies where they have been sometimes successful, but not all as successful as Elon Musk thinks that they are, or the rest of us, including his shareholders, think that they are. So I want to point out to you that Elon Musk never loses. And I don't know if you remember this, but Elon Musk got his board of directors at Tesla to pay him. And I need you to hold on to your coffee. Just put it down. Put down your coffee. Do not take a sip now. I do not need you sputtering it all over your phone or your computer. Do you remember that Tesla's board of directors awarded Elon Musk $46 billion in his pay package? And the shareholders sued, and that case still goes on in Delaware, even though Elon Musk was so angry about what the judge ruled that he moved the headquarters for Tesla down to Texas. I need to let you know that there is a direct correlation between this kind of abuse of corporate governance and CEO pay, executive pay that is through the roof and is not something the shareholders want, and basically hijacking our government. So there you go. So Elon Musk is there. Now, it's not all, don't worry, it's not going to last forever. And we will absolutely get to that. But if you're wondering why people are wanting to surround Donald, as Donald, people have reported, tends to be the kind of person who is convinced by the arguments made by the very last person who speaks with them. He's not someone who puts together, a cabinet of rivals, or who asks something that I've heard about other executive leaders. One of the former governors of Michigan was known to assemble, decide what one of the biggest issues he needed to resolve was, and bring in experts who had different perspectives, not just on the empirical data, but on the best policy choice. And he would ask them to debate in front of him, and he would think about it. And then he would make a decision. This is the Governor Engler of Michigan. Now, I don't know whether I would have agreed with his decisions, but the point of this is that's not how Donald Trump operates. People try to get into his ear and convince him. And that's why Elon Musk is camping out at Mar-a-Lago. He is there all the time to make sure that no one else can get to Donald Trump. Now, what is our next topic? We are now talking about our ninth most exciting topic of the day. And that is that some of our old favorites, some of our Hollywood stars, and we know that they, movie stars are people. They have their own political perspectives. And this is not a shock, but it continues to be a disappointment that Rocky, American hero, Sylvester Stallone, I mentioned the Rocky character and not his other violent roles as Rambo. But at any rate, Sylvester Stallone is totally in the tank for Donald Trump. You probably already knew that, but this particular clip is really cray-cray. Let's play it.
Expect this, but I'll just keep it short and sweet because there's no such a thing as a speech too short. When I did Rocky, if you remember, the first image was a picture of Jesus, and it says Resurrection AC Club. I found a church that had been converted to a boxing ring. So the image pans down from Jesus onto Rocky being hit. And at that moment, he was a chosen person, and that's how I began the journey.
Okay.
Something was going to happen. This man was going to go through a metamorphosis and change lives, just like President Trump.
Oh my God.
We are in the presence of a really mythical character. I love mythology. And this individual does not exist on this planet. Nobody in the world could have pulled off what he pulled off. So I'm in awe.
Okay. I don't really have much to say. I know he's not punch drunk, but that is where we are with Sylvester Stallone and others who are comparing Donald Trump to Jesus. Okay, that's really weird, guys. I also I don't know about you, but I do remember the 10 Commandments. And if you remember, that's not the best thing to do. Do you remember the actual? I know you probably are not expecting me to sit around here and cite the 10 Commandments. But this is part of the not just religious and historical tradition, but the number one command. So it's not just part of historical and religious tradition, but it's actually now part of our political tradition. And here there is this guy, Sylvester Stallone, actor, and others, not just him. We've seen this giant golden calf type figure of Donald Trump at events before. And the number one commandment is, I am the Lord thy God. And the second commandment is, thou shalt have no other gods before me, and thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, meaning an idol worship. Okay, so those seem to be pretty strong commandments against exactly what they are doing. But they want to worship Donald Trump. That's their choice. You be you, Sylvester Stallone. Okay, now 8, and I told you this is all very much like Crazy Town, but this is actually something positive. I'm super excited about item number 8. Now, I think we've been talking a lot about how not sad it is that Alex Jones of Infowars was having all of his stuff auctioned off. I remember he was crying, if you remember, into the camera. And we did share that the other day, saying, oh my God, Alex Jones was so upset that they were going to be, basically auctioning off all of his stuff. And I said to you guys, you don't really have to actually bid on it. Now let's play that video so you remember from the other day what he was crying about.
Afternoon, Infowars, the equipment, Infowars.com, Infowarsstore.com, and a whole bunch of other stuff is at a federal bankruptcy auction from the fake judgments and the rigged trials where I was found guilty beforehand and they had literal show trials out of the Soviet Union or Nazi Germany.
Okay. Remember this? These were not show trials. He didn't show up for one of them, but okay, you do you.
Right when I walked in here during the break after getting a glass of water, saw the auctioneers inside the building going around surveying from the last time they were here to make sure all the stuff's here. Everything tagged, everything marked, this debt.
So that was what was happening. And you're not going to believe, and I think you may have heard, the funniest thing in the world happened. Literally, The Onion, the company that owns the satirical publication, The Onion, which started on paper and now is obviously online. The Onion purchased Infowars. I kid you not. The Onion purchased Infowars, and they can just shut the damn thing down. It is unbelievable. It literally is, I think, one of the funniest things to happen. And you wouldn't be surprised to hear that Alex Jones and Roger Stone and Steve Bannon are losing their shit. They're so unhappy. I've got to play you, and this is part still of item 8. Roger Stone, flip it out about The Onion.
Fair proceeding. Unfortunately, the bankruptcy trustee has guaranteed himself major litigation for the rest of his life and career. He's going to be sued because he acted corruptly. In fact, once Matt Gaetz is Attorney General, I think you should examine this entire proceeding because there's epic corruption here. You know, we did put together a very good bid. Now, I think Alex may have no choice but to bid on MSNBC to buy that, because perhaps that could be repurposed. It's for sale, and they're making no money.
So do you see what happened? Roger Stone and Steve Bannon and other people put together rich people to bid to buy Infowars out of bankruptcy so they could keep it alive and let Alex run it. And they were out flipping bid by The Onion. Welcome to capitalism and bankruptcy, Roger Stone. Okay, now our 7th topic in our countdown is Donald Trump planning still to pardon the rioters from January 6th. Now, we are hearing some news about this, and I will play this for you. This is a clip that will begin first with another topic and then switch right over to the plan to pardon.
He has picked Todd Blanche, his lead defense attorney during his Manhattan criminal hush money trial for deputy attorney general. Also tonight, a Trump spokesperson tells NBC News that Trump will pardon January 6 defendants on a case-by-case basis, effectively distancing the president-elect from any blanket pardon. Lester.
All right, Peter Alexander, thanks. Also breaking this evening.
Okay, so 2 things. We'll talk about the pardons first. So I don't know why, but I guess Donald Trump, they're saying he wants to distance himself from blanket pardons of the rioters. So he is betraying his MAGA crowd. But also, I think there might be concern of outrage or legal issues challenging the blanket pardons, because you may have to name people specifically. But you know what? It's not that hard for him to go through and have someone go through these hundreds of people and make a list of hundreds of them. You know, we don't know what's going to happen. He will be pardoning people, whether it is basically the same thing as wholesale pardons, or he's going to first hand select those he thinks look less violent. Who knows? Okay, so that is one thing. The second thing that was talked about in that Peter Alexander dispatch on NBC News was that for his deputy attorney general, Donald Trump is selecting Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche was one of the lawyers who worked with Donald Trump on his private legal matters. So he is literally taking one of his private attorneys and installing him into as Deputy Attorney General. Now, what you should keep in mind is it's unlikely that Matt Gaetz will survive this process. So probably Todd Blanche will be his Attorney General. Separately, I don't know if you also know this, there's another really important role in the government called Solicitor General. And he has now, Donald Trump has nominated Dean John Sauer, and he's known as D. John Sauer, or just plain old John Sauer. He was the lawyer who argued before the U.S. Supreme Court the immunity case. He is the one who, when asked, and did not say it would be a problem. Let me just back up. That if a sitting president called out his SEAL Team 6 out to assassinate one of his rivals, this guy, John Sauer, refused to say that that could be something a president could be prosecuted for after he got out of office. In other words, as far as this guy is concerned, a president could use the military to go out and murder one of his political rivals, and he would be immune from prosecution. And that is the guy who is going to be the Solicitor General. Now, Solicitor General has a role of representing the United States when the United States has an interest in a lawsuit, even when they are not a party to the lawsuit. And also to represent the Department of Justice, et cetera, and the U.S. government in cases, for example, before the United States Supreme Court, to make arguments on the government's behalf. Okay, now let's talk about our sixth topic of this Friday morning. Topic number 6, and I'm going to pull it up now, is Matt Gaetz once again. Now, I know we spoke yesterday about Matt Gaetz having this benefit because he just left Congress. That on Wednesday, shortly after Donald Trump announced on Truth Social that he was nominating Matt Gaetz to be Attorney General, he basically resigned from Congress effective immediately. And we knew that this happened shortly after news had leaked that today, this Friday, so 2 days later, the House Ethics Committee was going to finally release a report on allegations of his attending sex and drug-fueled parties, etc., including allegations that this involved a 17-year-old high school girl. And now, according to insiders speaking publicly, it's dropped, that there will not be a report released. Well, we expect either it will leak today, or we are also hearing that Senate Judiciary is demanding to see the report. I think it will see the light of day. But what we have seen so far is this. And let me just make this bigger for you. What we have seen so far is this. And this is from ABC News. Other news stations are reporting this. Exclusive. The woman at the center of the DOJ probe of Rep. Matt Gaetz's, the woman at the center of the DOJ's probe of Rep. Matt Gaetz testified to the House Ethics Committee that he had sex with her when she was 17 years old, sources say. That is in the news. I don't believe that that Donald Trump will be able to install Matt Gaetz as Attorney General. Now, I know he is going to pressure the House and Senate to go into recess so he can push through all of his appointments, but I don't believe it's going to happen. And the reason why is because when he nominated Todd Blanche as his Deputy Attorney General, that struck me as a kind of compromise position. See how that goes, even though it's outrageous that his own private attorney, who represented him in cases including involving E. Jean Carroll, should become the Attorney General or even Deputy Attorney General. But there you have it. I don't expect Matt Gaetz to survive this nomination. I mean, he will live, but I do not believe he will become our Attorney General. Okay, and item number 5. I know it really does all seem like, guys, it seems like we are absolutely living right now in crazy town. And so here we go. Item number 5 involves Lauren Boebert.
From or submerging.
Hold on, here we go.
Counts
Wait,
of UAP.
wait, I've got to let you see this whole thing. So this is what Lauren Boebert was doing in Congress, right? The other day at a hearing involving UFOs. Okay, this is what should be in Crazy Town, but wait till you see Crazy Town. Oops.
Of UAPs emerging from or submerging into our water, which could indicate a base or presence beneath the ocean's surface.
I don't know about a base, but as I mentioned, I had a different source entirely describe this pretty extraordinary footage that exists of orbs, of an orb coming out of the ocean and being met by another orb.
Some would say that there's multiple hotspots where we see frequent activity. So in your investigations, have you come across any data or visual evidence like sonar readings or underwater footage of these UAPs?
I have not beyond what's in the report.
Oh my God. I don't know what to say to you. There's a lot of more important things happening right now in the world. And there we have Marjorie Taylor Greene. Okay, guys, so what is up for topic number 4? Now, I paired this back to back with the crazy underwater alien science of Lauren Boebert. Should I just call her Marjorie Taylor Greene? Maybe. Anyway, Lauren Boebert, creating absolute chaos and idiocy. It's like the, checkout line at the supermarket where you would have like the, the World News Daily or whatever it was called, and there'd be a picture of an alien. People want to believe that. I didn't think that we would have the checkout line be right there in a congressional hearing, but here we are. Okay, so what we need to talk about now, item number 4 is RFK Jr. being officially announced that he will be the cabinet secretary for Donald Trump as to lead the HHS, the Health and Human Services Department. And I'm going to share with you Robert Reich, who was a cabinet secretary, head of the Department of Labor at one point, and is also a professor. This is what he had to say, and I'm going to actually play for you something he said, but here was his tweet. I'm old enough to remember when polio ripped through the globe and my 6-year-old friends and put my 6-year-old friends into iron lungs. We dutifully lined up at school to get vaccinated. We eradicated the disease. We protected the common good. RFK Jr. being tapped to lead the HHS is a disgrace. And I think I want to play for you now more of what Robert Reich had to say. This is critically important information.
Who you think he is. It pains me to say it, but he's a dangerous nutcase. He claims to want to heal America, but his vision for our future is tainted by his endorsements of hateful conspiracy theories, and the fact that he is being funded in large part by donors aligned with Donald Trump. It's time to lift the curtain on a campaign based on false, irresponsible, and self-contradictory claims. RFK Jr. repeatedly promoted a right-wing conspiracy theory that chemicals in the water are turning people gay or transgender. He suggested COVID-19 was a bioweapon mysteriously designed to spare Jewish people.
COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and Black people. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese.
He spent years spreading anti-vax lies.
I see somebody on a hiking trail carrying a little baby, and I say to them, better not get them vaccinated.
And in his 2021 book, RFK Jr. alleged, with no plausible evidence, that Dr. Anthony Fauci performed genocidal experiments, sabotaged treatments for AIDS, and conspired with Bill Gaetz to suppress information about COVID-19. These are not the words of someone who is serious about leading, let alone healing, this country. Having once worked for his father, Robert F. Kennedy, and admired his uncle, John F. Kennedy, I'm disturbed to see Robert F. Kennedy Jr. speak this way. The Robert F. Kennedy I knew would never have suggested that a deadly virus was targeted at certain races. And as president, John F. Kennedy signed the Vaccination Assistance Act in order to, quote, achieve as quickly as possible the protection of the population, especially of all preschool children. If not for his illustrious name and role as a potential spoiler, RFK Jr. would be just another crackpot in the growing pool of fringe politicians. It's no coincidence that he shares top backers with the likes of Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene, where the Trump allies Roger Stone and Steve Bannon encouraged him to run in the first place. But the Kennedy brand is political gold, and it could pull away just enough sympathetic voters to tip the race toward.
Okay, so this is something Robert Reich had said in the lead up to the election. And I'm playing it for you now so you understand why RFK is getting this prize. He threw his support behind Donald Trump and was promised something, and just how dangerous he remains. And that's where we are. And I think we should resist as much as we can. We should protect children. I think their idea is wacky. As I mentioned yesterday, I think it's dangerous, and it's dangerous to the most vulnerable members of our society. Someone who's immune compromised because they have cancer, small, pregnant women and children. They don't care. They believe what they believe. RFK Jr. is a nutcase, and he will be in charge. And he has said that when that there should be a moratorium for a number of years. I think he said maybe 5 years on funding any research into finding vaccinations for infectious diseases. So it looks like the private sector is going to have to step up, but they have never fully stepped up. I mean, there have been government grants at universities and government grants at private companies to try to come up with this. And you don't get the massive distribution of a vaccine that helped to slow down and, end the worst parts of the COVID epidemic. You don't get that without government coordination and support. You don't get testing kits and so on. And right now, as you may have heard, we are now seeing another bird flu emerge in the world and in the US. And this is where we are. I think one of the challenges is that people feel, rightfully so, that it was a really terrible time during lockdown. Some states had them, some didn't. And I think we need to reckon with that and come up with a plan for the future so it is not so disruptive to children in schools and so on. And toward that end, I encourage you, our friend who we had on the show last week and who spoke about our emergency room doctor friend, and I am now spacing you guys on her name. Dara Cass who is on our show talking about the young woman who lost her life in Florida after she bled out from an abortion. Dara Cass will be today at 10 a.m. on MSNBC talking about the RFK nomination. So again, Dara Cass, the doctor who spoke with us, I recommend you watching at 10. I think that is going to be fantastic. And this gets us down to our item number 2. Item number 2 is Marjorie Taylor Greene this time. And she is, of course, on RFK Jr.'s side. We know that she's backed by the same people. And let's play what she had to say, this word salad of conspiracy nonsense in Congress.
Preparing for the next pandemic is actually recognizing that the last pandemic resulted in crimes against humanity. People that perpetuated and continue to perpetuate these crimes need to be prosecuted. And that needs to be starting in the next administration. And I'm pretty sure our next Attorney General will do that. And I look forward to seeing that happen. Mr. Chairman, I yield back the remainder of my time.
Okay, so that's how we're going to protect against a pandemic, by rounding up people like Dr. Fauci and others who are trying to follow the science as the science evolved and put them in prison. Good job, America. This is what we apparently voted for. And let me just add, not to put too much of a point on it, thank you for the uncommitted people who decided to choose Donald Trump and his now really dangerous regime, who's going to support like blowing up Gaza and annexing entirely the West Bank and never giving Palestinians a state and creating a disaster for both Israel and Palestine. And this is what you voted for and should have known. And now also, global pandemics and whatever. I mean, not just that group, but when you vote against your own interests, that's really tragic. Also, thank you to all the people who sat home and decided not to vote. Okay, so now this gets us to our very end. We're going to, right before I do it though, I want to share with you this. Blue Sky Social. Now, a lot of people are going over there. It's not perfect. I'm staying on Twitter, and I'll tell you why. Blue Sky Social is an alternative, but it's not run anymore by Jack Dorsey. It's run by that guy who was the actor in Mighty Ducks, Brock Pierce. And if you know anything about Brock Pierce, he's kind of a crypto bro, and he's bought up a lot of old San Juan in Puerto Rico and created some kind of madness down there. So, this is not like a utopia, but go there because I think that's where people are going. But keep in mind that you're not going to find anywhere in the world that is nirvana, that is a utopia, that does not have backers, perhaps, that have interests other than your own communication and privacy in mind. Okay. And that brings us, you guys, to Crazy Town today. And I think Crazy Town is going to make everyone super happy. And this is because even though I set this whole thing up saying, Elon Musk appears to be essentially our king of brainworms and polio returning. The good news, guys, and this is the craziest part. The honeymoon is over. Let's look. I'm going to blow this up. Honeymoon is over. This is happening yesterday. Trump said about Elon Musk, who has been hanging out around Mar-a-Lago for days. He likes this place. I can't get him out of here. I like him here too. Oh, okay. I bet you do. Right? Shot. That's the shot. Let's look at the chaser. Trump shouts out RFK Jr. at his event tonight. People like you, Bobby, he said. And then he jokes, don't get too popular, Bobby. You've reached about the level. Okay. I think we know what that means. Donald Trump doesn't like anyone who gets more attention or popularity. The honeymoon is over before the honeymoon even began. The one thing we can hope for, I say this with certainty, is that Donald Trump, because of his ginormous ego and his need for narcissistic supply, will not be able to keep these people in place around him, and it will be utter chaos. Now, that is good in terms of people putting through a fascist agenda, but bad because we actually have things that need to run smoothly. We have agencies that do good for people and for the constituents, and we actually should have pride in what we do here in America, whether it's in our private or public sector. But for now, I will leave you with that for this weekend. It's kind of funny that Donald Trump wants to get rid of these people around him, but they are controlling him. And we shall see soon who wins that battle of the egos. And I will see you bright and early on Monday morning at 8 a.m. right here. And please, guys, take this time, please, to like and subscribe. It makes all the difference in the world. We are on a mission. To, by my birthday month of December, to get us up to 10,000 subscribers. Okay, guys, have a great day.